What's the vibe like after a game like yesterday compared to what it was like on Monday?
Guys were in a positive mood. I think the combination of winning a game at home in the manner that we did, bye week upcoming, guys tend to get excited for that. So I think, this team took care of business yesterday, and they're in a good place.
What does the coaching staff do during the bye?
Different things. We look at some scheme evaluation stuff, personnel stuff, and then you get a little bit of advance on the next opponent.
Do you feel like when you look at where you guys are at 5-4, the expectations you had coming into the season, that you've underachieved at all with the talent?
We just take it game to game, to be honest with you. We don't get caught up in what the outlook of the season is going to look like. We just started with the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1 and moved on from there, and that's all that you can control. So, again, we don't outline what we think our record's going to be or anything like that. We just take it week to week.
Injuries, Jamar, how's he doing?
Jamar, same as it has been. So no real update on that one this week. The other ones would be Dax Hill's shoulder. He'll be week to week right now. Again, some of these things we can assess during the bye week because him and Chris Evans is a PCL too, so he's really week to week as well. And so, again, you get to see how they come along during the week to be able to have a better outlook of whether it's going to be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's unknown at this point.
And then the guys on IR, specifically DJ, Tyson Anderson, Brandon Wilson, Isaiah Prince?
Yeah, I think starting with DJ, we're optimistic that it'll be sooner rather than later. Again, we'll go through this week and make sure everything's on course and then make decisions with him probably next Monday on what we want to do. The other guys, I won't get into everybody right now. I think we'll just take it week to week with those other guys.
And Mike Hilton, Mike said he underwent surgery.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he had surgery on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was. And so we kept him out of this game, knowing that we were going to get this game, the bye week, and then feel pretty good about where he's going to be at coming off the bye.
Zach, when you look at the tape from yesterday, outside of the obvious results, what looked different in the run game yesterday from a process perspective?
I think we had a lot of success early, and so our guys were feeling that confidence level. We called more runs. I think that's the most obvious thing is, last week early in the Cleveland game, some of the runs were for 1 yard, 2 yards. You're in 2nd 9, 2nd 8. It's a lot easier when we're having the efficiency we have to keep coming back to the runs more and more. We've had so much success in the pass game, throwing the ball, that some games that's where we've leaned. Yesterday we had a lot of success early on. You could tell we were going to continue to have success with the run game, the way that was unfolding early, and so it was something we were able to stick with and have a lot of success with.
Did you feel like you guys were more physical than you had been in previous games when you looked at it?
No, because I still think there's a lot of positive things. Again, I've mentioned before, a lot of the balls we throw to receivers, you can still see some really good things up front. The ball just didn't get handed off, and maybe it would have been a really positive gain. So I haven't been down in that way in our rushing attack. We just gave them a lot more opportunities yesterday.
Mixon pointed out 5 times in his press conference yesterday the wide receivers blocking.
Yeah.
How impressed were you with that?
Really good. They were on top of it. Their communication was great. They finished blocks. Thought our tight ends were really physical, all 3 of them. Hayden, Devin, and Mitch. Yeah, I thought our linemen were physical inside. I thought they did a great job on the perimeter as well. The linemen did. Specific examples of really all the tackles pulling. I thought it was nicely done by everybody really in the run game.
Zach, was there something different about Brian addressing the offense Saturday night, and why do you think it resonated so much with the team? Brian Callahan,
yeah.
A lot of the players Joe talked about, he had an edge to him, and he went on for like 20 minutes.
Saturday
college
night.
Guys.
Saturday morning, maybe. I'm trying to
All
think.
Right.
Unless there's a secret meeting I don't know about. No, Brian. I mean, Brian always has a Saturday morning presentation. He presents Friday also, but Saturday morning is more his bring up to speed the whole week. Here's what we've done over the week. Here's the plan. Here's some things he gets a chance to speak, and he knocks it out of the park every time. So I always walk out of those Saturday meetings being really impressed with his message. It's another voice. I get a chance to talk to the team. Brian gets a chance as the offense coordinator to really hone in on just the offense and deliver his messages. And he puts a lot of time and energy into it. Makes it different than things they've heard throughout the week, which is good. You just want to hear the same thing over and over. And so this week, different than the others, he always does an A+ job. So it's hard for me to just single out this week because I always think you walk out of those meetings feeling like, all right, we're ready to go play the next day. And he's done a great job delivering those messages.
In your address to the team after the game, right before you handed out the game balls, you talked about this is what we need to be, this is our identity, or I'm paraphrasing, going forward for the last 8 weeks of the year. Why do you think this team understands that and will play to that level?
Well, we know, the earlier part of the season, you're getting a feel for yourself as a team, as a unit. You always have expectations to come out and play well. And now you get a chance to hit the bye, and now we got to hit the ground running coming out of the bye. And it's important to be strong the second half of the season, starting with a road game at Pittsburgh. I just think our guys understand that once this bye goes away, it's you never want to say it's playoff time, but again, it becomes each week is critical, and we've got to come out playing really well. And so this gives you some momentum to see what it felt like to really hit on all cylinders, all three phases, start a game strong, start a second half. Not as well as we'd hoped. That's the one area we could have cleaned up, with the kickoff return and then giving up the touchdown. But aside from that, rebounding from that, I thought it was really solid. So for guys to understand that's what it's got to look like coming out of the bye, I think they understand that.
I know you focus on the week at hand, but in the first 9 weeks, was there anything you found surprising about your team or surprising about sort of that stretch of games or anything that stood out to you that maybe was unexpected?
Unexpected, no. I mean, I really just think back to the last couple weeks, and we just didn't play as well as we wanted to last week. But I thought that the 2 weeks before that and then this last game, really 3 of the last 4, our team has really shown up and played really well. And that's what we got to continue to see, that consistency as we come out of the bye.
Offensively, do you think you've established almost the diversity you're looking for, where you can run the ball now, and you've shown that you can obviously throw it for 400 if you need to,
Right.
play without Jamar if you need to, like you've done all of the things that you want to be able to do offensively, depending on how you want to change week to week?
I think it was good to see the performance we had yesterday, and we know that there's going to be times where we're going to have to just replicate that same performance. I won't say exactly which teams we're playing against where it comes up, but we always know you're going to have to lean on that style of physicality. And then there's other games where, if you want to call them finesse games, where you're throwing the ball a little bit more, there's going to be times where it calls on that. So again, we've always felt that flexibility as an offense, and I think yesterday showed that. If you compare that with 3 weeks ago against Atlanta, 2 very different game plans. Both of them we feel like we can lean on when we need to.
What's the key to maybe finding more consistency in your play as a team in the second half of the season compared to some of the highs and lows you've had in the first half?
Well, yeah, aside from Cleveland, I think we've played really well these last 3 weeks. If you take that game out of the equation, we've won 3 of the last 4, and I've been really proud of the way the team has played and responded. And so, again, just that consistency carrying through the second half of the season is going to be critical.
I said that technique-wise, you guys focus on a lot of fundamentals throughout practice, and that maybe is why things have been so consistent, even when the results have kind of been up and down. But kind of why has that been the case, and is it something that you do intentionally to make sure that you have constants throughout the year?
It's what we do now, so I don't look at it as anything different because it's just what our guys expect when we go to practice. And, we still focus on tackling. That's still a part of what we do. We still put pads on Thursdays. We still work on tackling. We try to keep things as competitive as possible during practice. I won't. You guys don't get to see everything, but we try to go hard when we need to go hard, lighten it up when we need to lighten up, because the stress of every week can really build as you go. And so we do our best to take that pressure off the guys, let them relax a little bit, and then lock back in and be competitive when we need to. And I think our guys have always done a great job over the course of the week handling that. But we always have competitions with maybe guys that don't play as much, so during the course of the week, we do the offensive one-on-ones versus the defensive one-on-ones, and guys get a kick out of that. and we keep score during the week, and then you got to run a gasser, whichever side loses. And we've done that over the course of the season, and so I think that keeps the competitive juices flowing. It gets guys out of the routine of just going through what can sometimes be a little bit monotonous on all right, we're doing, third down period, red zone period. And so guys know when the horn goes off, there's going to be a different change to practice. And I think our guys have handled that well. And it also keeps the coaches on their toes sometimes in case their number gets called.
Has that happened?
Once or twice, yeah.
The first thing Joe Burrow said when he walked
Dan Pitcher is a terrible kicker.
The first thing Joe Burrow said when he came in here yesterday was that was the most complete game they played, and that if they could play every game like that, that would be great. For you, what really made yesterday so complete in the way that he touched on that?
Yeah, I mean, if we can rush for over 225 and throw for, it is, I think that kind of goes without saying. If you can be that balanced with that kind of production, obviously, that's hard to do every week. That's always, I don't even say goal because it's not as realistic to maintain that consistency. But yesterday, our guys just felt in a great rhythm. Our offense really fed off the defense. When the defense was getting those 3 and outs early in the game, I would say kind of our moment was it was 21-0, and we had the ball back, and it kind of felt like that against Atlanta a little bit. Like we need to go score a touchdown. We don't need to punt. We don't need to kick a field goal. We don't need to play the field position back. We need to go score and go up 28-0. And our guys delivered that. I know Joe was great in the huddle with that message. Our guys did that. That's maybe where it felt a little bit different than some of our other games where we've had good leads. Was the defense got the 3 and out, and the offense went and finished it with a touchdown and didn't let the other team kind of mess around and get back in it.
You dismissed any kind of notion of concern with Evan yesterday. Does that confidence come from track record or just knowing who he is and what he's about?
Yeah, yes, that. All of that, what you just mentioned. He's been really consistent in practice. His demeanor's different. You hate to group them all together, but maybe other kickers you've been around in your lifetime where he seems even keeled. He knows what he's got to take care of to get things corrected. I think he does a great job with Darren, communicating all that stuff. And so I've just got a high degree of confidence in Evan.
You mentioned a lot over this first 9 weeks about finding the right offensive game plan for the right defense and where to replicate it and when to do different things. Is that your, maybe those meetings with Brian and the other coaches, your favorite part of the job? Trying to figure that out, that puzzle? Is that
yeah, I mean, it's we often talk about that, sitting in a Wednesday night third down meeting with Pitch and Brian, and we got all the plays up on the board, and I'm sitting there thinking, how many times have we done this on a Wednesday night with a whole new menu of plays where it's just this puzzle that you're going through every Wednesday for 4 years now and it's just that's our routine, that's our schedule. And we've got our own, we take a break after the first half of third down, we go eat dinner. That's always our routine. Lou always pops in and gives us a hard time. That's part of his routine. And so that is the part that, you do appreciate, that's just, we've got our quirky routines that we follow with everything that we do. And it is what's fun about coaching is being around people you like, first of all. I like who I do it with, and that's always a big part of it. And I think that's what'll allow us to continue to be consistent because we like each other, like being around each other. We haven't driven each other crazy yet. I think that we work really well together, in those meetings. Troy and Brian doing the red zone, Pitch and Brian doing the third down, and getting with Frank and Derek on the base downs, and just all the Justin doing the backed up and 4 minute, James with the short yardage, and just so it's all fun stuff to interact with those guys in those ways, and they bring so much value to what we do. And so to answer your question in a very long-winded fashion, yeah, I do like the routine of those meetings, and it's what I appreciate about the job.
Aside from pitcher shaking a kick, apparently, is there a competition rep that you like in practice that's the one that stuck out?
I think probably you talking about coaches, or you just talking about the players?
I mean, if either one you want to volunteer, I'm not going to stop.
Kwame Lassiter had a route one time, a red zone route that it was kind of a made up route, and then we put it in and ran it in a game. We called it Kwame. It was ex Kwame, and so there's things that come out of that stuff. Trenton Irwin's long been the champion in those drills, and then we'll do some O-line, D-line one-on-ones, which are the hardest ones for me to grade. I always just end up blowing the whistle, and then everyone looks at me like, who won? And I just, move on to the next drill. But it's fun. It's competitive. The guys, I think, support their side of the ball, offense versus defense. It's good competitiveness, and then there's a result at the end of the week. And so I think guys enjoy that.
What's the quality?
I'm not going to get into the details of the route, but it was a good route.
How good do you think you guys are, Zach, when somebody goes down in terms of your depth? And,
Yeah.
The silver lining, obviously, it's cliche, but if a couple players go down like they did yesterday, next player up, how good do you think you guys have become at answering that bell?
Yeah, I think really good. I think we've got really good depth on this team, and I think that's a combination of having the systems in place for the last couple of years. So we've got a chance to keep around guys that are maybe on the lower end of the 53 or on the practice squad that can step up when their number's called. Duke always finding us these pieces for guys that fit how we want to operate in all three phases. And we're not just bringing in people just to bring in people. It's how would we fit these guys in. And so I've got a lot of confidence in all 69 players that we have on our team that they can fill in. We've used a lot of them, as you've seen. And there's other guys we haven't yet used that they wouldn't be here if we didn't have confidence in them, because we know during a 17-game season, regular season, you're going to need everybody. And so we spend a lot of time and effort making sure we got guys in here that we think could fill a role if we need them to. And yesterday, a lot of guys stepped up. You saw Jalen Davis getting his first start. You saw Alan George out there playing. You saw Dominique Davis, who'd been called up for the second time at D-tackle. A lot of those linebackers that hadn't gotten to play a lot of snaps got a chance to play at the end of the game yesterday. So it was exciting to see those guys step up.
How close do you look at them and make sure the moment's not too big? Is that part of when you're evaluating them on tape, that you look for that? Yeah,
there's a balance of maybe guys playing for the first time and the moment being too big. You're trying to balance which is it. We're harder on our guys. We expect them to go in there and not miss a beat from when a starter's in there. And you let them get their feet wet a little bit and then make the corrections so that the next time they'll be a little bit sharper as they go out.
Big point in training camp was Jesse Bates and how he'd handle this season. You said you had no concern then, just 9 weeks in. How's he been?
Really good. He stepped up and made some great plays yesterday. The interception stands out, but I can think of the goal line run through he had. The play before they scored the touchdown there at the end of the game. He did a great job, covering from sideline to sideline, making a lot of tackles in the run game. I thought that really showed up against Cleveland too. So he's doing a great job being a leader for us and playing at a high level.
Zach, how much different does the last game mean going into the break in terms of attitude, especially the way you won, as opposed to whether Monday had been your last game going into a long?
Sure. It affects you the day after. You're in a better mood today, having won yesterday. But again, our routine that quickly goes away as soon as those early hours on a Monday morning fade away. You're ready to move on. That's just ingrained in us, and so it's good to get the win. It's good to feel good this morning. But then again, we turn our attention towards our scheme evaluation and starting to get ready for Pittsburgh.
Speaking of that, Zach, what's the biggest difference in the team compared to game one of the season and then facing Pittsburgh?
In our team?
We can get back, yeah.
The biggest difference, that game, we've done a good job taking care of the football and creating turnovers. We lost 5-0 in the turnover battle. That's the first thing that stands out. Our team has been really disciplined, in terms of the penalties right now. One of the least penalized team in the league. I know offensively we're first, I believe. We have 8. I think that's the number. And defense is right there in the middle of the pack, I believe, with 14 or 15. That's one thing that starts to take shape as the season goes, is how are you creating takeaways and not giving the ball away, and how are you from a discipline standpoint. And so we've been really solid in those two areas that give us a chance in these games, and we'll have to do a much better job of that than we did week one against Pittsburgh.